What's going on, everyone? MikeO back today on the final day of 2019. As the year comes to a close, as the decade comes to a close, I'm here to just reminisce a little bit in the last decade of collecting. This is a decade review, and it's not absolute. I went through just a fraction of my collection, pulled out some of my favorites, and there's many other favorites that will not appear in this video. But I just wanted to do something to close out and remember and reflect on the last decade or so. It's amazing. The older you get, the days go by quicker, the years fly by, the decades start to just spin out of control. It's absolutely amazing. But in this last decade, it went by so quickly, so many different things. The decade began with the Phillies dominating the National League, having a couple great regular seasons only to be upset in the postseason. And then, while they took a bit of a downward spiral there in some really rough years during the decade, football-wise, the New England Patriots had another amazing decade, but couldn't find a way to win early on, and then found a way to win in the second half of the decade. In terms of real life, went through job changes, saw jobs just disappear as companies turned over and companies went away, saw loved ones pass away, had new members of the family born, new people brought into the family. A lot of change happens in 10 years. And one of the big positive changes is the YouTube community for me. As I got back into collecting, I found YouTube, something that I'd always followed for years and been involved in, YouTube alone, but never really thought to get into sports cards. Well, that did happen, and never would have expected it to turn out the way it has. Just making content, having a lot of people follow my channel, following so many other channels, being inspired by so many other collectors, building relationships with so many collectors through this format. The National Sports Collectors Convention this past decade, got to my first national in almost 10 years. Totally different animal than it used to be because of this community, meeting up with people from all over the country. Just an absolute blessing. It's been a great decade. Sure, there's some down moments, and of course, there's a lot of positive moments, but overall, just a great time, and I'm super thankful for it. So with all that being said, let's get into some cards, just an array of different things. For those who don't know my channel well, I am a Phillies collector, I am a player collector, I'm a Hall of Fame collector, I'm a rookie collector, I'm a graded collector, I'm someone who enjoys submitting cards for grading, I'm a raw card collector, I'm an autograph collector, a TTMer. I just like to do everything, really enjoy the hobby. So let's just share some things that I've picked up over the last 10 years. We'll start off with a childhood favorite, 1992 Score, 91-92. They did the Score All-Stars, and as a kid at that time, being 10 years old, I thought these cards looked awesome, and I still think they look phenomenal, and they look incredible if you get a little ink on them. So I was able to purchase this Ken Griffey Jr. autograph that was authenticated by PSA DNA. Picked this up a couple years ago. I can remember when I picked it up. Following the auction, I was actually up in the mountains by a lake. Very spotty Wi-Fi a couple years ago. Even phone services have improved vastly over the last couple years, but I had like one spot where you could get a solid signal, and I was able to toss a bid on the last moment and able to win this card, and I just think it looks great. Super happy to have this Ken Griffey Jr. autograph in the collection. Of course, I mentioned I do TTMs, and that's one of the things that really I did a lot of early on in YouTube, and Nolan Ryan was someone I had to send to. He was signing a lot for donations, so I made sure I sent some his way. Specifically, Topps Allen and Ginter, one of my favorite sets to collect, specifically autographed. So here's a beautiful Nolan Ryan signed in blue that I sent off for PSA DNA authentication a few years ago. So a super sweet card. So that's a nice one there. Of course, in the last decade, just last year, Mariano Rivera was the first player ever elected to the Hall of Fame unanimously, 100% of the votes. Really proud to have an autograph of him on an Allen and Ginter card, so absolutely fantastic. During the 2020 year, I will absolutely finally have an Allen and Ginter showcase video where I show off all the autographs. It'll probably be a 3-part series, and it will be coming for sure. I'm actually currently just waiting for a few cards to get in from PSA and to make sure I have everything in hand, and then I will get those videos out. But what a beautiful signature there. And Rivera, obviously a dominant player in the sport. Absolutely unbelievable. Really happy to have picked this one up a few years ago and jumped on it when I did, back when I first kind of start discovering Allen and Ginter and how great they were for autographs. I made sure I jumped on and purchased this Tony Gwynn. Beautiful signature there. One of my favorite Ginters I have. Fantastic looking card. An absolute beauty. Grew up watching Tony Gwynn play a lot. Watch him play against the Phillies a couple times a year, of course. And, he was the guy you thought of when you thought of the San Diego Padres. I've gotten into grading a lot, but before I really did a lot of grading, my first slabbing ventures was getting cards authenticated by PSA DNA. Now, this is a Mike Schmidt that I got as a kid over at his hoagie shop. Back when he had a business venture, a year or two after he retired, he had a local store. They had a contest where they gave out prizes and people could win a chance to meet Mike Schmidt and get a autographed item. So I was able to do that, won that, and able to get this 1990 Donruss card signed. So looks gorgeous. Send it in to PSA DNA for authentication and really encapsulation. I knew the card was authentic, but really excited to get it slabbed up. Of course, nowadays, I'd probably be a little more picky, and I would go and spend a couple extra bucks to get the card details, but it doesn't really bother me. Blue flip, red flip, doesn't matter. Prefer the card details, but it certainly is not an end-all, be-all. So how about some awesome pulls from the last few years? This Nolan Ryan is from 2019 Topps Heritage. Actually pulled this one on camera. I think it was a live video, if I recall right. Just a beauty there. Gorgeous card. Topps Heritage. They just they do a great job with their sets every year. Beautiful Nolan Ryan. Back on the nostalgia train, this is from Topps Finest. Topps Finest has their the last couple years they've been inserting buybacks that are autographs. So here's a Chipper Jones, who became a Hall of Famer during the course of the last decade. And here's a Mark McGwire. So a couple sweet cards there of guys that I grew up seeing play a lot. This is one my dad pulled. I didn't pull it, but I remember where I was when he called me about it. Called me to tell me, to guess what he pulled while breaking some archive snapshots, and it just happened to be the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 1/1. So a beautiful card there of a player with a ton of upside. So we'll see how his career evolves. Here's a card I pulled in a draft. It was a draft style break that I was involved in from Archive Signature Series. I got the first pick, and it worked out well because, Mike Trout was in that break and was able to snag this one from Bowman Platinum. So a gorgeous Mike Trout. Here's another one that I got. Same style. This one was Archives Signature Series 2017, and I was involved in a break. Draft style, I pulled the second pick, so that's obviously a good slot. Prefer one, but hey, 2 works fine. And for this one, if you had any of the top 12 spots out of 20, you did really well. And spot number 1 was a Derek Jeter autograph, and spot 2, I snagged this Sandy Koufax 1961 Topps, obviously labeled 1/1, beautiful blue signature. But it's awesome to acquire an autograph card of a legend, of a Hall of Famer, but when you get an actual card from their playing era, makes it even better. So beautiful addition to the collection there. Super happy to have grabbed that. Here's one maybe 4 years ago, something like that. This was a pull, another group break from Eastern Connecticut Sports Cards. Grabbed this Mike Trout. This was my first Mike Trout autograph. Super thick card. Absolutely an amazing card from Museum Collection. I believe this one was a draft style pick your team type of break. And I think like the second pick or something. I got a high pick, and I took the Angels. I took the Angels for the sole purpose of having an opportunity to grab Mike Trout. There were probably safer picks, but obviously it worked out well. Absolutely beautiful card from the baseball player of the decade. Here's another Koufax. Grab this one in a group break as well. And this is why group breaks can be fun. They're fun to watch. I bought the Dodgers in a tier 1, or a 5-star, I should say, break, and got lucky enough to hit a Koufax. And I think this is called the Rainbow, so it's numbered to 25. Again, just an amazing card. Here's another pull. At the time, not really one of the hottest cards, but honestly, just an amazing card. Alex Bregman. This is from Topps Definitive. If you guys aren't familiar with Topps Definitive, amazing product Topps put out the last few years, and it's certainly one that's expensive to break, and it's probably not necessarily the smartest break, but there are some gorgeous singles you can get. Just amazing patches. The texture of the cards is great. Framed. Sweet signatures. So a sweet Alex Bregman. Here's another Bregman from Topps Finest a few years ago. Always been a fan of Topps Finest. Loved the first year they put them out back in 93, and I think they've done a great job the last few years. And generally speaking, most of the singles are fairly affordable, so I think they're a great way to collect some of the hot rookies of the year. Here's a nice pull from a few years ago. Carlos Correa, 2015 Topps Finest rookie card. This was pulled in 2016 Topps Chrome because the card came out too late, so rather than redemptions, they just inserted it in the 2016 set. Correa's had some injury problems over the last couple years, but obviously an unbelievably talented individual. It's a nice Chris Bryant. This is from Archive Snapshots a few years ago. And a wonderful looking card. Looks great. Chris Bryant helped the Cubs win a championship and end that long-standing curse. So that's another one of the kind of the amazing feats and moments of the decade. Chris Bryant and the Cubs winning the World Series. A few other sweet rookie cards. Walker Buehler, who's just been very, very good with the Dodgers and has a ton of potential to continue and be one of the pitchers of this coming decade. Rhys Hoskins, nice orange autograph here from Topps Chrome. Never forget how he bounced onto the scene a few years ago in Philadelphia. Just had a absolutely monster middle of August into September campaign, and then had a really strong rookie year to follow that up. Hopefully he can get back on track this year and be part of a winning team in Philadelphia. Ohtani Mania took the hobby by absolute storm a couple years ago. It's a really nice autograph from Topps Chrome. Ohtani, he's had some injury concerns the last few years, but I'm telling you, this guy is a player to watch in 2020. Let's say he starts once a week, makes 20 starts, pitches really well, and can be healthy and DH 5-6 days a week. That Angels team has some serious firepower in the lineup between him, Rendon, and Trout. We'll see if they can pitch enough, but I think Shohei Ohtani is the type of guy that some people in the hobby have slept on. I think he's an MVP candidate type of player. He's certainly that type of talent. Here's a Blake Snell autograph from Topps Chrome. Blue refractor. Won the Cy Young a few years ago. How about a Ronald Acuna pull? Numbered to 50. Purple parallel from 5-star. Gotta love the Acuna's. Another guy who's just driven the hobby here in these last couple years. Aaron Judge. Sweet refractor. Numbered to 150. Judge Mania. He really him and Bellinger got off that hot start in 2017 and kind of drove the hobby to another level. Then, of course, Ohtani in 2018 and Acuna as well. And now the 2019 crew with Guerrero. The rookies have taken over the hobby. There's a nice Bowman's Best, Fernando Tatis. Beautiful looking card. Bowman's Best is a really fun product. It's a fun break. It's not out of control expensive, not cheap either, but this is a product with tons of prospects, tons of potential, and you can buy the singles when they come out at really good prices. This Tatis, when I pulled it last year, was not a very expensive card. I don't know what it goes for now, but I'm sure it's gone up. He's one of those guys, it'll be interesting to see what we think of him 10 years from now. Chrome Sapphire came into the hobby this decade. Here's a Gleyber Torres green. That one should be numbered to 50. So a beautiful card of a superstar in the making. Gleyber just loaded with talent. And how about a Bowman Pete Alonso autograph, purple, numbered to 250. This Pete Alonso, I believe, was a retail pull. And, he was kind of an afterthought in the hobby at that point. People weren't paying attention. Year or two later, he's hitting 50-plus home runs, breaking records, and just dominating and having a unbelievable rookie campaign. Got a lot of stuff still to get through. How about the community helping out? Made a trade with Jerome, Yankees cards, picking up this Vladdy Guerrero Jr. for the Allen and Ginter PC. Sent it off, got it graded, got a mint 9, so a 9 is just fine for the PC. At the National this year, pulled a Peter Alonso autograph. Got a gem mint 10 there. So a beautiful card there. Here's a pickup. I picked this up on eBay. A Francisco Lindor 2017 clearly authentic. The case was scratched, looked terrible. Pulled it out, looked at it, looked really good. Sent it to PSA. Got it slabbed. It came back a gem mint 10 and a beautiful acetate card. And the rookie reprint autos from that product are exceptional. They look amazing. Rafael Devers, really nice sapphire green parallel. Got that one graded at 10. How about a Walker Buehler from Chrome Update? Chrome Update's become very popular in the last few years of the decade. This X-Fractor graded out a gem 10. Gleyber Torres from 2018 Topps Chrome Update. On card, it was a redemption, so people don't like redemptions, and I completely understand, neither do I, but hey, when it's in Chrome Update, guess what? It usually means that card's going to be signed on card. So this one came back a gem 10. Complete and utter beauty in the collection. Juan Soto coming here at the end of the decade, and just another guy who expectations weren't necessarily there. He was actually limited in the hobby. Doesn't have a crazy amount of rookie cards, and an underrated one in the hobby. Again, Bowman's Best. It's one of his few on-card autographs from his rookie year. It may be his only one. I'm not even sure offhand. I know his Chrome Update is the most popular, and that one is a sticker. And I believe he's in Gallery, and I'm pretty certain that's a sticker. I'm not sure what else he's in. He might be in one of those really high-end products as well. But if you're looking for a somewhat affordable autograph of Juan Soto, a rookie card, jump on the Bowman's Best. Here's an awesome pull that I had on the channel, a Ronald Acuna from Chrome Sapphire autograph last year. Beautiful gem 10. Some cards that were pulled. Again, Bowman's Best in 2017, Ronald Acuna, before he was super hot in the hobby. Gleyber Torres as well. Pulled them, got those graded 10s. Here is a huge pull at a 2017 Finest, Aaron Judge. Beautiful gold, numbered to 50. Unbelievable card here, Ronald Acuna Jr. Bat down, number 698. It's one of the cards in the hobby that has just taken off. It's graded a 9, a mint 9. Very tough set. Actually still have one raw as well. My lucky find of the decade came this past year, where I actually found this Mike Trout at a flea market in with a bunch of other 2011 Topps Update cards. Unbelievable find. I knew it wasn't going to grade high. Off center, left to right a bit, top to bottom. Definitely some surface issues on the back. Graded to 6. Still has a value of a few $100s. And just one of those memories, like, wow, why was this in here? Unbelievable. So really awesome memory there. Here's some rookies that have dominated in the last decade and somewhat solidified themselves into the potential future Hall of Fame election. Picked up this 2005 Topps Justin Verlander, Gem Mint 10. It's been great for the Tigers for a long time, but really kind of got over the top and really came on strong again, kind of found himself again after finding his way to Houston. But a 2001 Topps Chrome traded Albert Pujols. The Pujols hasn't been the same player over the last 5 to 10 years, but he's compiled the numbers to obviously earn himself as a first ballot Hall of Famer, so beautiful card there. Of course, happy to have picked up this 2008 Topps Update. Clayton Kershaw, picked this one up a few years ago. Again, an amazing career. Beautiful rookie card there. And Mookie Betts, a guy who's become somewhat forgotten in the hobby. His prices are down. Still a phenomenal player. Helped the Red Sox late in the decade. Something that I've really got back into and really found a new appreciation for in the last several years, the back half of this decade, is vintage and pre-war. And I don't have a lot of pre-war here to show off, but I do have some vintage, just kind of celebrating the legends of the past. I love modern and I love vintage. I love them both. Here's a 55 Topps Hank Aaron in a 4. Beautiful card. A 1960 Topps Bob Clemente in a 5. And when it comes to vintage, the grade only matters so much. It's all about eye appeal. Now, the eye appeal in this Connie Mack is far from great. I'd prefer a cleaner copy. But you don't see him come up too much, so I picked this one up. Used eBay bucks for it a couple years ago. It's a PSA 2. And Connie Mack is kind of instrumental and well-known in Philadelphia. So I wanted a Connie Mack. And my grandmother, who I lost this past decade, would talk about Connie Mack. She just had a lot of stories, and was just happy to pick that one up when I found it. It's a 1953 Topps Satchel Paige, a PSA 2.5. Beautiful looking card. Not perfect, but hey, it's good enough. This is the Satchel Paige from 53 Topps is one of my favorites. I'm a huge fan of 53 Topps, one of my favorite sets of all time. How about a 54 Topps Jackie Robinson? Sure, there's a missing piece on the bottom. Got this card for $10 at a local auction. What a steal. Got it slabbed authentic. Just a beautiful card, a huge piece of baseball history, Americana. You can't go wrong with any Jackie Robinson card, and I think it's something that would fit into anyone's collection. It's a 1969 Topps Mickey Mantle. It's just authentic. Lousy shape. But it's a Mantle, and it's pretty cool. So, something else that I got cheap. Here's a 56 Topps Yogi Berra in a 4. These are all pickups over the last few years. Another one of my all-time favorites, 51 Bowman Ted Williams in a 3. Love the 51 Bowmans. And love this image of Ted Williams. It's an authentic Ted Williams from 54 Topps. Another one, just a beater. Bought it real cheap raw. And was fine with the authentic grade. There's a lot of surface issues. Just a cool card to own. Something that I am still in debt to Blue Jacket 66 for, the 49 Bowman Richie Ashburn in a 2. This completed my run of Richie Ashburns. Finally this year, one of my goals and something I accomplished was completing the entire run of Richie Ashburn cards from his playing days. So thank you again, Dave. Awesome card. Here's one of my favorite Ashburns, 51 Bowman. Great image. Low grade. Bought this one raw, and I knew it would grade low. Corners are a bit rounded and such. But, I mean, the centering and the eye appeal, it's amazing. I've seen plenty of cards, plenty of 51 Bowman Ashburns graded in 4, 5, 6 that didn't have the eye appeal of this card. So I'm very happy to own this one. Shout out to Bowman 51. And how about Bowman 1953? Amazing channel, Alex. Here's a 53 Bowman color, Richie Ashburn in a 5. Beautiful card. I've added so many Phillies cards in the last year to the collection. Really happy with that, but obviously I have a decade's worth of Phillies cards overall. Here's the one pre-war I have to show off. This one was inspired by Silver Jackify with his pickup at the National this year. So I picked up the 1888 Goodwin Champions Ed Andrews. It's an SGC2. Not a perfect card, but a beautiful card nonetheless. So very happy to have that one added into the collection. Here's some autographs. Show off here. How about a Hank Aaron red? Topps Chrome a couple years ago had these most valuable player, and I think they were called award winners of some sort. I forget what they called them, but they were gorgeous looking cards. Here's a Hank Aaron, numbered to 5. How about a Jim Thome Atomic Refractor? Best Cuts. Best Cuts, a throwback to 97. Something that they've been doing a lot. Some of the old school inserts are awesome. Here's another awesome pull. Here's a pull I had with my dad. We were opening some Finest a few years ago and pulled the Cornerstones autograph of Mike Trout. This is a very recent pickup, but one I've been looking for a few years. Back before this decade started, Pedro Martinez actually concluded his career with the Phillies in 2009 and helped them win the pennant. So they went into this decade as defending National League champions. Well, it took them a long time to put out a Pedro Martinez Phillies autograph. Finally, they did, and I was able to snag it, so super happy about that. It's another nice Finest pull. Again, Finest, a beautiful product. Not as popular in the hobby as it used to be, but man, they have some gorgeous cards. Finest finishes, the 1977 World Series Game 6, Reggie Jackson. Absolute beauty. It's a pickup from a few years ago, Willie Mays. Again, Topps Finest. I want to say this is from about 2005, maybe a few years after that. I don't remember the exact year, but really nice card overall. How about Bo Jackson, a fan favorite here? And one of my favorites, 1993 Finest. Now this is from Clearly Authentic. They used that Finest design, but a beautiful card there of Bo Jackson. Sweet autograph. In this past decade, I was fortunate enough to watch Roy Halladay pitch for the Phillies in 2010 and 11. He dominated, won a Cy Young Award, threw a perfect game. I was in attendance for his postseason no-hitter against the Cincinnati Reds. Unfortunately, also in this decade, we lost him in an accident, and also got to see him elected to the Hall of Fame. really unbelievably excited to have been able to pick up and purchase this Roy Halladay 1 of 1 from Archive's Signature Series, a product that was released literally days after his death. And, I just kind of kept an eye on everything that came out, and eventually this card was listed. And I was able to work out a deal with the seller and pick it up and add it to the collection. As a Phillies fan, as a Halladay fan, as an Allen and Ginter collector, I was beyond excited to pick this card up. So, an absolute beauty. Got a Jim Thome 1 of 1. He's a guy who, at this point, 2 decades ago, kind of was a big part of the Phillies, was a big part of changing the culture in Philadelphia, of initiating a new kind of era with a new stadium. Went away, came back, actually. Came back briefly with the Phillies during this past decade. I want to say 2012, and found his way into the Hall of Fame, so it was exciting to see him elected to the Hall of Fame. And always great to pick up an awesome looking card. We got one more stack to look at, just some of my favorite pickups. Here's a dual autograph. This one was actually pulled by me. It's a Steve Carlton / Aaron Nola. And I thought about selling this card. Gosh, when did this come out? This came out, was 2016. And ultimately I hung on to it, and I'm certainly happy I did. Nola's been really good for the Phillies. Steve Carlton, of course, a legend, a Hall of Famer. Beautiful card there. This was a nostalgic pickup. When it was announced that this dual auto was coming out a few years ago, I spent months trying to track one down and try and win one. It's from Topps Tribute. Randy Johnson, John Kruk duel from their battle in the 93 All-Star Game, where Randy Johnson threw the ball over Kruk's head. Kruk's a character. He's back in Philadelphia doing some announcing for the Phillies. He was a fan favorite on the field, and this is another one of those awesome cards that I'm just thrilled to have. So happy I picked it up when I did. How about Bryce Harper? Earlier this decade, a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, never would have expected him to be in Philadelphia. Well, he's in Philadelphia now, and he'll be in Philadelphia for this upcoming decade. Had a really strong first year in Philadelphia. I feel like there's a general thought that he disappointed or didn't have a good year, and that's just blatantly false. Considering the pressure he's under with the size of the contract, considering the fact that his wife was pregnant for the first time, he was moving his family, looking for a home, all those things going on during the first year of a contract in a new city on a new team. 34, 35 homers, over 100 RBIs, 260 average. I don't think that's all that bad. Played nearly Gold Glove defense, was exceptional in the outfield. I'm excited to see what he has in store for the next few years. Here's a Superfractor. His first Superfractor. It's Prize Performers insert from Topps Finest, 1 of 1. Picked this up at a show a couple months ago. And then, of course, his first Phillies autograph was available on Topps Now from his signature moment of his first year. Walk-off grand slam seals an epic comeback win against the Cubs. It's one of those moments you don't forget as a fan. Sure, the season ultimately was a disappointment for the Phillies. They fell short, finished in 3rd place. Struggled once again in September. This is one of those moments watching the game with my dad, where you sat there and you watched the conclusion of the game, and you watched the post-game interview, and you watched the press conference, and you watched the post-game show, and you watched that highlight a dozen times, and then 24 times, maybe even 36 times. Every time you saw it, you stopped and watched it, and I still do. Now that we're at the end of the year, you have the retrospectives for local teams or even nationally. Every time I see it, I watch it. Just an unbelievable moment. Chills to share that moment with someone else in your family. Unbelievable. So that is an incredible card. And then we'll wrap it up with some football. One of my favorite Tom Brady rookies is the 2000 Upper Deck, and unfortunately, like a fool, at the end of last decade, out of college, needed some money, didn't think, well, my mindset at the time was, well, I'll always be able to rebuy these. Well, little did I know that Tom Brady would continue his legend for another decade plus, and his cards would skyrocket further. So I sold most of my cards. I was able to pick this up a couple years ago, so I'm happy about that. Picked up some other great cards. I don't buy as much football anymore. Back in the 90s, did a ton of football, even in the early 2000s. But at this point, it's just not worth breaking, and you can only do so much, so my focus has shifted nearly to all baseball. But I will pick up flawless autographs. I mean, the relic pieces are amazing, the on-card autos. Teddy Bruschi, fan favorite. Julian Edelman. Of course, general audience is sick of the Patriots, but this is another one of those guys, a late round pick, just made the most of what he could. I mean, he's a great story. If he's the type of guy who he's on your team, you're gonna love him. I was lucky enough to pick this one up before it kind of blew up, specifically after winning Super Bowl MVP last year. I don't know what the card's going for now, but it was crazy. Randy Moss, always wanted to have an autographed Patriots card in the PC of him, so was able to pick this one up a few years ago. Some other random football. Kurt Warner, another one of those great story guys. Really nice Bowman's Best on-card autograph. Got this one in a mystery pack, a Dan Marino. Gotta have a Dan Marino autograph in the collection, right? Guy who put up crazy numbers before every quarterback put up crazy numbers. How about a Drew Brees, Allen and Ginter auto? Awesome card. Another guy who's just had an unbelievably amazing career. This is a crazy custom. Beautiful. Actually purchased this one from Garrett Card Cutter. Bill Belichick. It's a love-hate relationship with this guy. Obviously an amazing coach. You see that villainous look. But I think that's a must for the collection. And then the final card. Again, thankfully I picked this up a couple years ago. 2000 Bowman Tom Brady. Another one of those cards just always loved growing up. Had one of them. Sold it for way less than I ever should have. And then I kept trying to get one back, and I finally did. I got one in a Mint 9, and happy I picked it up. So that video was pretty lengthy, 38 minutes long at this point. That's just a small fraction of what I've collected over the last 10 years. A lot of this stuff is over the last 2 or 3. I, of course, have plenty of other things that I'll showcase again at some point, but just felt the need to reflect on the previous decade, look forward to the upcoming decade, and share with you some of the sweet pieces in the collection that I've accumulated. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I wish you and your family a happy and healthy new year. Have a great one. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you next time.